Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Friday. It's Open Line Friday. I'm going to open the phone lines very, very, very soon, right near the beginning of the program. A few things to talk about before we do that, though. Open Line Friday and Trump's new tariff temper tantrum. He's not going to talk to Canada anymore. He's upset. He's focused on digital media. He's focused on dairy again. So these are things that he's rehashing. And I'm just, yesterday I was feeling a little bit better about things. And today I'm feeling like I was feeling the day before yesterday. Also, what else do we have to talk about tonight? All kinds of stuff. Oh, the ostrich farm. I have a little update on that for you. I don't think anybody else is actually reporting what I'm going to tell you. And we'll get to that in a few minutes. What else? Oh, my goodness. Yesterday, I sort of misspoke just a little bit about the Iran hostage crisis. The words just didn't come out quite right. And I was laying in bed last night. And this is why we're doing Open Line Friday, too, because I didn't sleep last night. I was to try to pay the bills. I had to stay up all night working, doing some other work that I do. You don't need to know all about that. But anyway, I was up all night. I got to bed around 4:35 a.m. I just fell asleep. It was around 7, and a crew showed up to chop down a tree. They were murdering a tree on my neighbor's yard, and they knocked on the door. I had to go move my car so that they didn't drop the tree on it. And then I couldn't get back to sleep because they're making so much noise. So, and I'm in a fog because I haven't had any sleep. So you have to help me tonight. You have to call in and help me because my brain is only at 50% tonight efficiency. And that's not good because when I get like that, I get a little bit punchy. And when I get punchy, you never know what's going to come out of this mouth. And I didn't really speak clearly, but I was laying in bed, not sleeping. And I realized I had sort of said that it was the way that it came out. It was the use of the word hostages. Anyway, I'm gonna clarify what I was talking about the Iran hostage crisis back in 1979 when I was young, and I remember it, pretty vividly. So we're going to touch on that tonight as well. There's just a bunch of stuff. Oh, a big court win today for Trump. Trump just dominating the news every single day. If he's not in the headlines, he's just not happy. But he's not happy anyway because he's throwing this big temper tantrum. Oh, plus. This is probably the most important thing if you're a Canadian. A Canadian has died in ICE detention. And they have a bunch of other Canadian citizens detained, ICE, in the U.S. So there's all that going on, too. And that's just, I think that's, there's a danger of that boiling over into a diplomatic face-off, for lack of a better word. It's volatile. I'm worried about that. I should just let this stuff roll off my back because every day there's some new crisis, right? Oh, plus we'll bring you up to date on what's going on in the Middle East and what's going on also with Ukraine because Ukraine had a successful attack on Russian territory, destroying some fighter bombers. We'll tell you about that tonight as well. All kinds of stuff on tap, and you can join the conversation. I'm going to give preference to new callers. I'd like to get new callers in instead of the same old, uh, same old. But I like the same old. I like all the people who call in no, well, not every time, but our regulars. We like those guys too. But I'd really like some new callers tonight. If we, or maybe some people who call in only once in a while, maybe call in and give me a hand tonight. Here's the number. Okay, Mavericks, it's call-in time. Join the conversation. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Exercise your right to free speech. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Call 1-647-734-4220. Then enter the PIN number 860-075-764, followed by the pound sign. Maverick News. Call now. The world is watching and listening to you. Okay, first up. The Ostrich Farm Biolab. The bio research facility out in Edgewood, British Columbia. I've been speaking to some people out there, and I don't think anyone else has really acknowledged this. You maybe have noticed that you haven't seen much posting going on there on social media from the farm, not as much. And what you are seeing isn't showing as much, and that's because the protesters have left. The protest has fizzled out, at least it appears that way, at least for the time being. They've all left, apparently. I did speak to some people out in that neck of the woods, Edgewood, British Columbia, and I can tell you that the reports we're getting are that the protesters have left, most of them disgruntled. Not unexpectedly, a bunch of infighting began. Some very unhappy people, a lot of stuff I can't repeat after my conversations that I've had with people. And one thing that I learned, which I think is quite telling, and I can prove all this if I need to prove it. But I learned that the ostrich that was reportedly shot, one of the ostriches, the second one. You know how they say they name all their birds? They have names for the birds because they're like pets, even though they have basically turned them into lab animals to do COVID research, and they want to do now bird flu research on them because they want to treat them like lab animals. That's what they are, as they've been using them as lab animals for experimental research in an open air environment. Injecting them with COVID antigens. But anyway, they say that they treat them like pets and that they have names for all of them, almost 400 out there. Well, I learned today that bird, the second one that was reportedly shot, didn't have a name until after it was dead. Yeah, I learned today that the reporter who put that picture up said to the protesters that she was out there with, she said, I need a name for this bird. Yeah. The bird was named after it was killed, not before. That in itself should tell you something, I think. It's very revealing, isn't it? They named the bird after it was dead. So they had a consultation, a little brainstorming session to come up with a good name for the deceased bird, which then became something of let's say a martyr. for the cause at the Edgewood Universal Ostrich Bioresearch Farm. Anyway, the protesters are gone. Not clear what's going to happen now. I think the donations are still rolling in. The media types are still streaming and stuff from there, but not from there, but they're still talking about it. Even I'm talking about it, and I probably should just move on because we've given it, I think, at this point, more attention than it probably deserves. But it is a very unique and weird story. It just keeps on coming back to haunt me. Anyway, yeah, just weird, and I'm punchy. And I just want to get that whole thing off my mind. We'll be coming back to it, though, I'm pretty sure, in the days ahead. So that's the ostrich farm story. But more importantly, let's move on here to the bigger news of the day. So, in a surprising move today, President Trump announced that he is terminating all trade talks with Canada, effective immediately. The decision was posted today on Truth Social. Here I have what President Trump posted. Let me show you. Here we go, right there. We have just been informed. And this is odd for him to post this and say it in this way, because really there's nothing new going on here, but he's suggesting this is new in some way, but it isn't. There it is. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital services tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us also. Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada, effective immediately. We will let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. At least it's not 2 weeks this time. He's being a little more decisive. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's the social media president. This is where you get all your presidential updates on Truth Social and X. So that's what he's tweeting on about tonight. The primary reason for the decision is Canada's digital services tax takes effect this coming Monday, and this 3% levy targets tech giants like Amazon, Google, Meta, Uber, Airbnb, applying to earn from Canadian users above 20 million Canadian dollars. And the tax enacted in June of last year, actually, under former Prime Minister Trudeau's government, is retroactive to 2022, meaning U.S. roughly $2 billion in bills due to come due at the end of this month. And Trump called this tax today a direct and blatant attack on the United States, accusing Canada of copying similar European Union policies. And he has reiterated long-standing complaints about Canada's trade practices, claiming that Canada imposes tariffs of, as I said, 400% on U.S. dairy products. And that's true. But at the same time, we do not dump milk or dairy products into the U.S. market. What we have done is we have used a supply management system to make sure that Canadian farmers are protected and that our food sovereignty is protected. In fact, those policies are designed to protect smaller Canadian farmers, including family farm operations, from competition coming in possibly from massive U.S. agribusiness farm corporations that are so big that small Canadian farmers would be swallowed up whole by the American competitors, forcing essentially small farms to sell out or just be put out of business. So this is all coming at a critical time. Just weeks ago, actually just days ago, really, at the G7, Carney agreed to pursue a new trade and security deal by mid-July, aiming to resolve tensions sparked by Trump's earlier tariffs on Canadian goods, including 25% on non-USMCA compliant imports and 50% on steel and aluminum. Blown out of the water now tonight because of Trump's new announcement, basically throwing a tariff temper tantrum. We have our first caller on the line here tonight. Who's with us tonight? Hello. Who's there? Well, hello, Carol. Hang on a second here. I'm going to get you up on the screen. Let me just get that now.
Hi.
Hello,
Hi,
Carol
Rick.
from Calgary. Welcome.
Yeah, I've been watching your show for years. You've been my savior, and you really anchored me in the last half year here. My views have completely changed regarding the Ukraine war, whatever, just whatever you have. It turned my perspective around 100%, and it's been really refreshing.
Well, thank you. That's the reward for me, right? Is knowing that it's resonating with people and making a difference in some way. Because really, it's
Yeah.
just about just trying to tell the truth and not just spin up a narrative. That's what it's about.
Right. And the truth is really hard to hear. In the beginning, I'm going back about 6 months now, but the truth was really hard to hear because it really challenged my perspective. Hey, I'm telling you, I've lost a lot of friends now because it's just hearing what resonated. It really just brought me back to the planet here, right? I needed to hear that, and I didn't like it in the beginning. I actually turned you off like while I thought, no, we're not going down that way. And then I started thinking, wait, like for God's sake, to think about this Russia thing, right, with the Ukraine thing. And by the way, I'm sorry if I'm off subject on what you're actually discussing right now.
No, that's okay. I was going to talk a little bit about Ukraine tonight anyway, so go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I've spent the last 3 years that are to blame, right? Somehow, in my head, I believe that we had this Russian, I don't know, it was like, I don't know, Putin was a good guy, right?
Yeah.
And, oh God, I'm getting bubbled over here. But anyway, I just wanted to say that my whole point is the fact that it's time to look at the truth, man, right? Where have we all been? And I'm just so confused right now. And all the friends and people I thought were very near to what I held true are completely different. So we're all hearing things in a different way.
Yes.
And anyway, I'm just a little upset.
No, I'm with you. It's difficult for me too, because even like friends that I've had, even just I don't recognize them from even a couple of years ago because of what's going on in their minds, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So where are we? How did we get here? Where, these used to be my allies, and now we are completely a different. We're just not even on the same planet.
I can maybe give you a little perspective. When you talk to people who lived in, say, the former Soviet Union,
Right.
they will say that, everybody knew the government was lying all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
it was sort of like everybody was living a lie.
Right.
And I've had people on the program who are familiar with Russian psyops, and what's really going on is everybody is being exposed, especially through social media, to these
Mm-hmm.
psyops and information warfare, propaganda, if you will, from various sources. And it's very
Right.
powerful, and it's more sophisticated today than ever. And so it's just
Mm-hmm.
reshaping people's reality.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so that's really what is going on. And if you're just an average person, surface level information, and it's quite impactful. If you,
Mm-hmm.
and it depends on how media literate you are, people aren't equipped for this yet. It's
Right.
because we've barely become, um, we're not even really deal with social media, and now it's into AI, and it's just, the technology is progressing faster than our ability to process it. And the people
Mm-hmm.
who are controlling it are controlling a large portion of the population. Does that
Right.
make sense to you?
It absolutely, it's absolutely, it's dead on. And even, and I'm aware of that. So when I'm trying to, talk to people, or, get through to people, I'm trying to put that through on, you just actually don't know. You just can't see it because the propaganda is, it's so severe,
Yes.
right? It's just, you just don't know. Like, how can you be sure of your facts? Because you can't have them, right? It's,
Yeah.
I'm tired of it.
Me
It's,
too. I'm really tired of it. And I'm not immune to it. I've been affected by it. I was really affected by it at the beginning of the pandemic, like so many other people. That left a lot of us, everyone really, very vulnerable to it because of
mhm,
what the government was doing to us at the time. But I've been able to climb out of a lot of the rabbit because
mhm,
of my background in media my whole life. So I've
mhm,
been in media, so I'm able to recognize uh, some of this stuff, I think, a little bit better than others, and that's why I'm here. I'm trying to help
yeah,
people become more media literate
mhm,
in a way through the
mhm.
program. And we have another caller on the line. Who's with us now? Who's there?
Oh, hello, Rick.
Yes, who's that?
This is Willie in California. How you doing?
Well, I'm okay, sir. How are you tonight?
Yeah, long time no talk to. In fact, it's been since you guys put Carney on the throne.
Okay.
Yeah, just a comment. I really think it's important, not just necessary. I'm kind of upset that there seems to be Trump derangement syndrome even within the MAGA party. We're totally independent voters. We don't like what's going on. In fact, we consider George Carlin to be our hero when he said it's a big elite party, folks, and in it. But I think on this latest endeavor with the attack over in Iran, I just think Graham and not enough Thomas Massey for us. Are you aware of those two people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Trump really should have let Marco Rubio's statement just stand when he said it was a unilateral attack by Israel and left it alone. It was simple and politically strategic. And then, of course, Trump jumped in and took total credit for everything, and back and forth till we are where we are today. So, you know what? It's got to be okay, actually important to criticize our politicians and quit acting like it's a bad thing to disagree with our rulers. And to say
Mhm.
we should or shouldn't get involved in the Middle East is ridiculous, as we've been involved since 1948. And maybe it's time to get out. But with the likes, in our case, of Fox News infiltrating our government, that's a big ask.
Okay. Uh, I mean, we kind of addressed a lot of this last night on the program. I'm not sure where you want me to go with this.
Oh, wherever you want. I just thought that would contribution.
Okay. Yeah, I understand your perspective. I don't know. I think that I've kind of lost a lot of well, Trump's lost me, honestly. I just think that he's been far too extreme on many things, and I've expressed my views on that, but I appreciate what you're saying tonight as well. So somebody just left. Who's still there with me?
Carol.
Oh, Carol. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So Willie hung up there. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. But yeah, I Trump is losing me, and that's because even tonight we have a Canadian who died in ICE custody. We have.
Is that confirmed?
Pardon me?
Is that confirmed?
Oh yes, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, so I can. I've got some notes here, so I know that the government of Canada is seeking answers from U.S. authorities following the death of this Canadian citizen in U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement custody down in Florida, home of the new what are they calling that? Alligator Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
Yeah. So I know that the Canadian has been identified as 49-year-old Johnny Noviello. He died Monday, June 23rd at the Federal Detention Center in Miami. He was awaiting deportation proceedings. And according to an ICE statement, Noviello was found unresponsive at 12:54 p.m. Medical staff tried to perform CPR, used an automated external defibrillator, but he was pronounced dead by Miami Fire Rescue at 1:36 p.m. Cause of death remains under investigation. Now, he was a Canadian citizen. He'd been living in the U.S. lawfully as a permanent resident since 1991, and then entered the country legally he was actually there since 1988, and he'd been living down there, but he ended up getting into trouble and was convicted on racketeering and drug trafficking charges, and spent 12 months in jail as a result of all of that. And then because of all this ICE stuff, now he does time in prison apparently, and then was picked up as part of an ICE raid. And then they kept him in detention because of these, I think, past drug charges. So I don't know legally where all that sits, and the Canadian government is trying to get more information on all of that tonight. We don't know how he ended up dying. This is very concerning.
Yeah, very concerning.
Yeah, because just too good for them illegal immigrants that we're all picking up down there. So now you're going to get the Florida. If you're trying to escape,
Rick,
you're going to be gator bait.
What's going on here? What is it that he was granted with the Supreme Court here? The more jurisdiction he had now.
So
I mean, it seems like he was able to, like, now everything's cleared and he can go full steam ahead on his plans. And, he seemed to have a victory day here. So what was that about?
So that's the birthright citizenship thing, I believe you're talking about, right?
Right.
U.S. Supreme Court today delivered this significant court victory for Trump. It was a 6-3 ruling that curbs the citizenship to move forward in parts of the country. And so this decision, authored by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court ruled that lower courts overstepped their authority by issuing universal injunctions that blocked Trump's executive order nationwide. So the order signed on Trump's first day in office in January of 2025 seeks to deny automatic U.S. citizenship to children born in the U.S. to parents who are undocumented or on temporary visas, challenging that long-standing interpretation of the 14th Amendment. If you're born here, you're automatically a citizen, right? So the court majority, including Trump's 3 appointees, did not rule on the order's constitutionality, but limited injunctions to only the plaintiffs in lawsuits, allowing the policy to take effect in 28 states that haven't challenged it in a 30-day. So he's saying it's a monumental victory. I don't think it's a total. You probably
now when you're saying 28 states, when you say 28 states, what so what's that about? So, I mean, it's not across the board here
because it's. As I'm interpreting this, and I'm not a U.S. legal expert, okay? I know a little bit more about Canadian. As I'm interpreting this, these objections or hurdles that were placed in front of Trump were coming from at the state level. And so it's basically been, this is dealing with state law, areas of jurisdiction, I think, as well. So that's why you're seeing this being applied in 28 states. And that's why I don't think that you're going to see the end of this, because the 14th Amendment states that all persons born are naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. So and lower courts, including judges in Maryland, Massachusetts, Washington State, have consistently blocked Trump's order, citing the 1898 Wong Kim Ark case, which affirmed birthright citizenship for children of immigrants, and liberal justice there in dissent called the ruling a travesty for the rule of law, warning it could let unconstitutional policies stand for non-plaintiffs. It's pretty complicated, and it all depends on how the Constitution ends up being interpreted. But the ramifications for this are broad.
It does sound very complex here, and by design, right?
Oh yeah. At the end of the day, what it means is if Trump is successful and this holds, ICE agents will be swooping in and scooping up children who are born in the country.
Fantastic? Yeah, that's just fantastic. What the heck is going on here, right? I mean, it's just right before our eyes.
And a lot of people are cheering. A lot of people are cheering, right? So,
oh man,
yeah, another call.
Anyway, I'm really concerned about that stuff. I just don't understand why people aren't cluing into this stuff.
Yeah,
Just don't get it.
For me, this is why even before he was elected, I started asking, well, if he really does this, what is this going to look like? I said, well, you see, people like officers in paramilitary equipment, armor running through the streets, in teams chasing down people because of the color of their skin and just you're guilty, you're guilty, you're an illegal immigrant, you, all you in that truck over there, off to El Salvador with you. That's what we've been seeing. No due process.
No. Well, that's the whole point, is the due process here, right? I mean, for God's sake, you can't just, I mean, on your own volition, decide we're going to round up these guys because they got a tan or there's some tattoos. Yeah. It's just sick. It's just sick. Yeah. You got to have the due process, man. It's just, what the hell? I have nightmares about this crap. It's like they can round up my kids because they're tanned or they have a tattoo. I mean, it's just.
Oh heck! Even if you don't, they'll Photoshop one on your hands, or Trump will misinterpret it. Who just joined us on the line? Who's there?
It's Dragon.
Well, Dragon from Montreal. How are you?
What's up, my buddy?
Well, it's another Trump news day, like every other day. It's amazing how he manages to stay in the headlines across the newscast. It's just amazing.
Wow. Can I say hello to Dragon? I've been listening to Dragon for a year now, and I really appreciate your intakes and what you do. Right, you always hang in there and you give us something good to go on. So, and I love Montreal.
Well, I try to be as peaceful as I can because dragon can be grumpy sometimes.
So you're a human being then. Good.
Oh yeah, we are. We all are human beings. I was asking myself something though about Trump and what's going on with his trade. Basically the canceling of all trade. I mean, so we ain't gonna have any gas from them. We ain't gonna have what? I mean, what does he cut off? Everything?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
It's just it's like everything else. It's like right to the extreme, right? There's
You know,
no nuance, no.
our army is part of their army. I mean, if you look at NORAD or there's other bases. I mean, NORAD is one of the most important places because, I mean, in the acronym, it speak about Canadian. God damn it! So I'm sorry, but what are you doing with that, bro? I mean, sorry, Trump, but he's completely like, I don't know, man. He's some kind of crazy. He's some kind of crazy.
Well, the thing is, too, it's like these trade issues that he's citing today, it's not new. The digital services tax, that has been that was passed like a year ago. And the supply management issue for agriculture and especially dairy, that's been around for years and decades. It's nothing new. And then suddenly for today to come out with it and say they are doing this right, it makes it seem like we're doing this like right now. It's like he's either uneducated or just spinning a narrative. But it's you know what? I'm not even worried about it this time because it's just more hot air to get something.
I think it is too. I think it's just
I can tell you that the inside reason it's part because Canada has kind of put a tax on the digital service, basically, and it's just attacking basically the big corporation, American corporation, should I say? You know, so yeah, all those digital corporation is cut off now,
well,
and that's why it's one of the reasons.
Yeah, like I understand what the objective behind that digital services tax is, and that was to try to make sure there's funding for journalism in Canada. And well, you may not like, you know, how the money is distributed, and it goes to largely mainstream media. That's what it's supposed to be about, so that we can make sure we have reporters, even in small communities, especially in remote. I've talked about this before, and there are other provisions in place already through television, just the way taxation, broadcast licenses. It's a complex thing. It's about Canadian sovereignty. It's about preserving Canadian culture. To make sure that
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Our trust with media has been like blowing right out the door here.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, who trusts them anymore? Right. Nobody knows what to believe anymore. Right?
Yep. That's a problem.
That's the essence here, right? The fact that we don't even know what we can believe anymore.
Yep.
There's nothing that resonates as true anymore. I know for a fact that, well, we believe now everything just it's a narrative. They're lying to us. There's no ground here. There's nothing to stand on anymore.
Yeah.
And big problem.
It is, but I think everyone needs to recognize that it isn't coming just from the mainstream media. Look at during the election that we just went through. Like those conservative, like they lost me. The conservative live streamers, they are not journalists. They are influencers posing with a facade of journalism in front of them, and they're paid largely. Not every one of them, but some of them are just doing or whatever, right? But they're lying too. So you're getting, and it's not just the conservative side. Like, I mean, it's all over the place now, right?
It's all over the place.
Yeah. So it's not just MSN.
I will tell you something. And I think that the answers at certain point, reside into the fact that in social media, and I mean social media with a big F, a capital S, because news, influencer, whoever you look at, the propaganda that we have, and basically the attack, it's a cognitive attack that we receive, right? And Rick could probably attest on this. But that's what we're having a certain cognitive dissonance, okay? And that leads to a certain mental discomfort, if you will, and that will push someone into a certain inconsistencies, sorry, to alter their thought, right? And that's where you got the re-evaluation of their mind, kind of resetting their mind to a gap into the answers. You try to find the gap yourself. Think what would be the gap, because you got to basically think about it, basically. And I mean, it's just assuming at this point. So those gaps create those little kind of shortcut into your cognitive, and this is why you got people being, say, divided between many others ideas. And I mean, that's where you have that division in the people.
Look, how did I start the program off? I talked about an alternative media outlet at that ostrich farm bio lab thing, whatever, right? And what did I just highlight for you? I had a conversation with someone today who was there when that reporter said, after taking pictures of the dead ostrich that had been allegedly shot, saying, I need a name for the bird. They made a name up for the bird after it was dead. So that, why would they do that, do you think, guys? For what purpose?
I think that's clear. To, bring cats.
Right.
And, our cute little coochie here. What was it? Harry maybe named it or something? I don't know.
Yeah, because it humanizes the bird. Right.
And so my poor little,
then it tugs at the heartstrings. It plays on people's emotions. That reels the people in.
Yeah.
Well, basically, she was creating a propaganda by, okay, well, we got to find a name now that this bird is dead, right? So basically, it's preparing a certain spin, or there's another word for that, but that's what it is.
It's spin. It turns it into propaganda, because see, it would be one thing if the bird had a name already and it had been killed, but to take a bird that had no name, it was just a lab animal. And then after it was killed, say, hey guys, help me come up with a name for this bird, because it'll make for a better story. There's an old saying that would always go around in the newsrooms where I worked, right? We would joke. We would say, never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Well, no kidding, right? So, because they have a photo album of this bird before, right? Like I'm talking about, they took pictures of the bird before, named it Harry, and they had, there were pictures on the wall that, not even close, right? They didn't know anything about this bird, right? It's just, it's exactly what we're talking about here, bringing us into, get a pity, sad story on the bird Harry or whatever.
But it works. It works. It makes people feel so sorry for the bird, right? Oh my God, the poor birds! You don't kill the birds.
It's the same thing that
to KFC.
It's the same thing that you would probably be a steak eating contest into a restaurant to get it free, but die at the end, right in front of everyone. But you get your picture on the table because sure, you did it.
And the other thing is, they keep portraying this place as some small family farm operation. No, it wasn't. No, it isn't. 400 ostriches, that's a big operation. And at one time, we're told that they had as many as 1,000. That's not a small family farm. This is the biggest ostrich farm in Canada. It turned into an open-air biolab. Who else just joined us on the line? Go ahead.
Rimby, John there, Rickster and Dragon. Hello, guys, from Western Alberta.
Hello, John.
Hey, what's up, John?
So, what's on your mind, John?
Well, guys, I won the lottery today. Thank you for all your prayers. My adopted dad was released from intensive care, and he's back at the aged care. He's made a 1,000,000,000% recovery and back mad at everybody, and it's wonderbar. We're back. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's incredible.
Well, that's
Incredible.
great.
Thank
And
you.
just in case people don't know, John's a close friend out in Calgary, right?
Yeah.
Was ill, apparently had cancer of the gallbladder out. Everything was
Yeah,
looking pretty
he ended
good.
up with that sepsis and
an
yeah,
infection.
which is I didn't know anything about it, how deadly it is.
Yeah, so that infection then put him back in the hospital in intensive care, but now he's on the mend. So that's great news.
Oh, good to hear.
He's not on the mend. He's $1 billion again. We're back on the oil. My board. Yeah, yeah.
Well, all
Yeah,
you
I need him.
Calgarians out there, you're all oil rich, aren't you?
Well, no, well, not all of us, but Rickster,
No.
I donate my money to homeless and food banks, and I try and take, Rickster, money's like manure. It doesn't do anybody any good unless you spread it around. Spreading it around to veterans, homeless, or seniors, and yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have a picture of your oil jet, send it. And better yet, send the jet
Oh.
out here and pick me up because
Okay.
I could use a vacation. Yeah, let's.
Well, Rickster, you're in the will, and drag my brother in arms there in Montreal. You're in the will there too, bro. You're I think of everybody.
So anyway, back
Cool.
to the news of the day.
Yeah.
What else do you want to talk about? What else is there going on? I'm asking you. I should be telling you guys, I guess, right?
Well, we got
Yes.
alligators in Florida with Sanctimonious and ostriches. And Rick, are you having an ostrich burger tonight, there, bro? Or
No. I did I eat any
alligator burger?
No,
Are you gonna pull
I got chicken though. I've got chicken.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
pulling my alligator cowboy boots on for Calgary Stampede starts next week, hey guys. So
Oh.
I'm pulling my alligator cowboy boots on. No,
Wow.
I'm just joking.
Well, yeah, I was just as I was heading into tonight's program, I was thinking about that alligator Alcatraz, and I just thought how ridiculous the whole thing seems. It's like Gitmo ain't good, is too good for these people. We got to put them out there in Gatorland, out in the Everglades. They're gator bait. This is the stuff that's coming into my head. It just seems ridiculous.
Well, Rick, it's not just alligators gonna chomp at your butt. It's python snakes too.
Yes.
It's double bad. It's snakes too.
Which actually brings me to tonight's Maverick Midnight Matinee movie.
Oh, get me.
I'm going to give you guys
Get
a
me.
choice. I was trying to think of a movie that we could run tonight that would be sort of in the vein of Alligator Alcatraz. So it had to be like swampy stuff or something, right? So I came up with Attack of the Giant Leeches. So you guys can vote in the Rumble chat. What do you want to watch? Do you want to watch Attack of the Giant Leeches, or just as something completely unrelated, one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's a great one, very old, but really great, Things to Come, which is like a science fiction-y future. It's retro futuristic now. It was made back in the 1930s, and it predicts things to come and wars, and it's absolutely classic. And as much as it might sound a little dry or slow moving because it was made in the 30s, it really isn't. It was so well made at the time that it still stands up today. So it is actually entertaining and thought-provoking. So that's a great movie. Attack of the Giant Leeches is so bad it's good, and it's very much in the vein of Gatorland. And they ain't them trumpeters. It's no Mickey Mouse detention facility down there in Florida. You're going to get an all expenses paid trip to vacation land in the Everglades and Alligator Alcatraz.
Well, you could have probably taken the Alcatraz movie from the 50s, but hey, That's just me.
Yeah.
Probably copyrighted Dragon. Maybe still copyrighted.
Yeah,
Oh,
probably.
man. I can't believe we're even talking about this. I was thinking that like this is that is alligator Alcatraz, not a isn't
Yeah.
that
Well,
like a shirt?
well, Rick and Dragon and our other lady on the line, Remy John, on Part American, I kind of have to, my American relatives have apologized to me. They are so embarrassed over Trumpster and how he's treated Canadians in Canada. They're just, well, they never would have voted for him. They're horrified and embarrassed and hiding their heads and apologizing to me. And this is people around the world on Maverick News. This is, we love our American friends and relatives and friends. And this is not Americans doing this. This is kind of the orange orangutan in the pimped out White House. This is not, this isn't America, guys.
John Rimby, is Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Anyway, I have a lot of American relatives in the States, and
I do too.
they are still holding on that this guy is their savior.
Really?
No matter what, there's no apology. They're actually sending
Carol,
daily.
are you being for real? Because my relatives are in Minnesota and they're diehard Republicans, and they're just horrified over what's going on with Canada.
We actually have 3 families down there that they are sticking to this guy.
Wow.
Like glue. It's and they will send me, they're sending me this, it's oh my God.
Carol, really?
Stop sending me this crap because you guys are, but they are hanging on. And I thought by now, I honestly thought over the last couple of months or so that they'd actually kind of clue in and say, doesn't seem right. But no, nobody's breaking. No one's breaking there. Once in California, I got a Colorado and I got a Florida family, and they're 100% still on his side. Can't break them. We still have Canadian families here, down in Ontario. They're still thinking this guy's the savior. And it's
like Carol, my relatives are diehard in Minnesota, and they're hardcore Republicans, and they're just beyond horrified what he said about Canada and the 51st state. And
no, I can't. Nobody's bugging on my side. They're all thinking this is a good old thing. And I thought by now, like we have things now that we can look at and say, oh, come on, really? Like, it's ridiculous. But nope, they're hardcore. They buckle down, and you would not believe what they send me. It's just
Carol,
John. We have 2 new callers who just called in, so if we could just let them speak for a moment. Who just joined us on the line? Isabel, welcome back.
Hi. Hey, Dragon, John, and Carol. How's everybody?
Love from Alberta. Is Isabel? You're gonna be my new wife, maybe? You never know.
Who else is on the line?
John, I have OCD, and it shouldn't be called that because it's backwards. It should be CDO. It's not in line. So why did they call it OCD?
Who else?
I have no.
Who else is on the line with us? Somebody else joined.
How you doing?
Good. Who's that?
It's Lori.
Lori. I'm glad you called in tonight.
Yeah, John, thoughts and prayers for your friend there. Hope he makes a speedy recovery.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that from a Christian man like you. Thank you, sir. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Rick, I wanted to touch on something. This is going back a little bit. You just hooking in with the so-called riots or protests in LA, and there was one comment made on the chat line that said that this has never really happened in Canada by some lady that said in her lifetime, and I wanted to kind of have the dragon on here for this one here, and because I know that he covered the Palestinian so-called slash protests last year and experienced the convoy in Ottawa. So I'm gonna throw out the facts here, and we'll just see if we can get this one. 6,000 demonstrators, 37 injuries, 12 police officers, 25 citizens, 100 arrests, 50 stores looted and vandalized, tear gas involved, and over a total of $1 million in damage done. Anybody like to take a stab on that one?
Hold on, that's all in Canada?
Yes.
The numbers that you gave me, it's all about Canada wide, basically?
Yes, keep going, Dragon.
Okay. I know for a fact that all what you said are, I would say, part in Montreal, because I mean everything that you have said I've seen.
Okay, you got her
here
close. Can you give me a year and the origin?
Well, if I do remember correctly, and don't quote me on the dates, but it did started back almost a year and a half on May. So basically, we're speaking about 2023. So yeah, that's what it is. And
No, not even close. Not even close. No Black Lives Matters. No Palestinians involved here.
well,
You got
I
a
think
guess there,
that
Rick?
there's-
Come on now.
I'm not sure I'm following you correctly. You're talking about a protest in Canada related to these statistics that you just cited?
Yes, well, you can call it a protest. You can call it a riot if you like.
And so you want me to try and guess which one it was?
Yes, it's very, very famous.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure, Lori.
Lori, are
here's
you talking back in the 60s, sir? Back in
No, we're
Pierre
even going
Elliott
back
Trudeau?
farther than that. Here we go, guys. I don't want to hold the show up any longer.
Farther?
This was 1955. This was the hockey riots in Montreal over the Maurice
Yeah.
Richard protests.
well, yeah, that's true. We had a
Wow.
riot for the Stanley Cup back in '95. I do remember that pretty clear. And actually, I was in Longueuil in that time, which is just next to Montreal. But yeah, I mean, the clash was everywhere.
Actually,
this was
1955.
1955.
1955.
Yeah.
Dragon, before you were born, bro. Dragon, 1955, before you were born, bro.
Actually,
Yeah,
a lot of sports generate protests. Soccer is a big one in many countries too, where protests and fights and rumbles can erupt. And we've seen different sporting events in Canada to generate protests like that, or not protests, but riots, because people just lose their freaking minds sometimes.
No,
So-
but it's true. But there's another clash that happened back in the '90s after the Stanley Cup have won, and actually, it was Patrick Roy that was in the goalie back in the days.
Well, I've seen university students in London, Ontario, overturn cars and set them on fire during, what do they call it, Frosh Week? They used to have.
Frosh
What?
Week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick, what?
What do you mean?
When was
what?
that?
Oh, it's happened multiple times over the
Oh
years.
my God.
They've stopped. They do things differently now. They don't. I don't even know if they allow Frosh Week to happen the way that it used to at the University of Western Ontario.
Because you have seen the clash. You have seen the clash with the police.
I think you want to qualify that, Rick, and mention the fact that this has happened since you graduated.
That's true. That is true.
Oh.
I've
Oh,
never
Lori, you've aged
participated.
us all. You've just aged us there, Lori. Thank you.
Yeah, never.
But
Well,
participated.
I thought that was kind of
We
interesting
have
just
not-
to go back to that, because when I started to check out the statistics on the so-called protest / riot in Los Angeles. There was a lot more damage done in Los Angeles when the Lakers won the NBA championship in 2021, and because I'm an old guy, that kind of triggered the sports thing, and I'm not old enough to remember the Montreal and Maurice Richard riot, but I certainly remember people talking about it. So,
It looks like, and I'm gonna throw something else out there and ask you this: were any protesters at the Freedom Convoy murdered by police or the government?
No.
Because I'll tell you, I watched a live stream, well, the archived version. I won't even tell you who it was because I don't want to direct anybody there. Maybe it will have to at some point. I watched this guy in an interview come right out and say that the Nazi regime of Canada murdered an old man at the Freedom Convoy, and that the police did that during the when the protesters were in the clash with police at the end of the Freedom Convoy. And they said he said that a man was murdered by police.
That never happened.
It didn't happen.
No.
I know it didn't. It's just an outright lie.
Right.
So this is
propaganda.
Carol, this is exactly what I'm talking about. What you were talking about earlier. It's not just
where's that
MSM.
come from?
It's people on the other side. It's independent media. It's influencers. It's people who are part of, I would say, a government, or it's not a government, but they're part of their own little psyop.
Yeah,
They've got their agenda.
Was it Rebel? Was it Rebel?
No, it wasn't Rebel News. No.
Okay.
Although,
You know what?
although it looks like I'm getting attacked in the chat here by at least one person tonight, because I'm being called out for attacking another channel, and somebody's saying that, I think it's Kitty saying that she's never seen any of the other programs she ever watches attack a channel. I think that's directed at me. It could be wrong, but the way I'm interpreting the chat on the fly. Are you kidding me, Kitty? Do you know how many times I've been attacked by people in other channels?
Oh, I you know what? Just as a layman here, I get attacked all the time. I can't even imagine what your volume is. So I can't even imagine.
It's a daily thing.
Oh, I can't imagine.
I just want to
like 100 comments a day, right?
Oh my God.
Well,
I'll
Rick,
just
I'm
put
on
it out there,
Rumble.
okay? I'll debunk all the situation here. I'll debunk all the conspiracy about it, okay? I just asked Copilot if there were an old man that have died at the Ottawa convoy, and there's no confirmed evidence of any elderly men that have died during the 2022 Ottawa Freedom Convoy protest. While there's rumor on social media, including claims of trampling death during the police operation, these were all debunked. So there he is.
I know where it comes from. There was a guy in a coat, and he was laying on the ground. He laid down, and he just stayed stiff. And he was then dragged away, and there was like an aerial shot, and you could see this guy being dragged, and it looked like he might be dead, right? Because he just like laid there, but he wasn't dead. He was laying there passively. You know how like if you lay down and it's like, go ahead, cops, you can arrest me, but you got to carry me away. So they just dragged this guy away, but he wasn't dead. And then people were saying this guy was murdered, and some people are still spinning that narrative because they have an agenda.
All the images they had with COVID and people, the Chinese dying in the street, laying down, they had massive
paid actors,
right? That kind of
paid actors.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they probably recycle the same. They become stars.
Right.
Well, great death scene.
Well,
I'm feeling faint.
Well, Rick,
That's
you
like-
know, one thing we do, Rick, out of Alberta,
Yeah.
we pump a lot of oil and we ride shotgun. And I'm always riding shotgun for my friend, the Rickster, because we love you, sir, in Alberta. And you do honest journalistic news. We're always riding shotgun for you, my friend.
Wow.
Yeah, amen to that, John. Amen
Yeah.
to that, because we
Well,
need those
Hey,
voices.
John, I wanted to ask if you've seen Pierre Poilievre out there in his new riding, kissing any of the cattle to win enough votes to win the riding.
No, Lori, you know, it's well, thank you, Lori, for bringing that up. It's kind of a really touchy situation, Lori. Pierre is going to run in a diehard, allegedly conservative riding. He's going to get in, they say, 99% to
That
one.
one's called
but yet-
Tumbleweed, isn't it? Tumbleweed, Alberta.
Well, it's the middle of nowhere there, bro. But there's supposedly running like 199 candidates against him to split the vote. So I don't know, sir, Lori. I don't know, bro. Like, really, honestly, I mean, I like Pierre. But yeah, the separatists out here they're going to run interference and split the vote, and Nancy and Judy Gunn. Yeah. I don't know, Lori. I don't know how to answer your question, sir. I don't know.
Well, I think that we can pencil you in on that one, John. That you should be doing the local reporting on that by-election and giving us an update every once in a while. So
I will,
we
sir.
know where things stand.
Absolutely, Lori. I'm right there with yes, sir. I will be right there, my friend. Absolutely. Yeah. Rick, I always try and be boots on the ground, Alberta, bro.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago there when the House was in session, I was walking down Wellington Street in Ottawa, and I saw him peering in from a stepladder, trying to look in to see what was going on there.
Lori, you're a terrible guy.
And Kitty is.
But you know, Lori, I got to tell you,
John, Kitty's was in the chat. I don't know if she still is. She's like, oh, I'm not calling in because Rick made the rule. It's only new. No, Kitty, you call in. You go ahead and call in. Other people are calling in too. I just said I would give preference to new callers, but everyone's on. So there's nothing stopping you from calling in. Don't sit there and use that as an excuse for not speaking up and using your right to free speech here. You still have it, and you're welcome.
Were we
to phone
talking about Alberta and
He won't-
separation?
She won't get her check there. Rick.
What I'll do, Rick, is that I'll sign off and say goodnight to everybody. And if we got room for a new caller in there, by all means, let's get somebody on there.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
hey, Lori, hang on, Lori, Remedy John. Lori, I will follow up on your request, sir. There's mixed feelings, Lori, about Pierre Poilievre here, because some people in the West, in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, kind of feel he kind of screwed up and should have gone on podcasts and whatever and got the message out there and been more anti-Trump. And some people are for him. And the riding, Lori, I understand he's going into, it's a rural Alberta riding, diehard conservative, but he's not a shoo-in, though. And there's a lot of controversy of, even when Pierre, I guess, was in his riding allegedly in Carleton, Ottawa, he didn't pay any attention to the people. So I don't know, Lori, it's a mixed bag, my friend. I will be boots on the ground, your eyes and ears, like I always am. Rimby John is always boots on the ground, Alberta. But Lori, sir, I don't know what way it's going to go there, sir. I don't know, but
well, we've got a local authority out there now, Rick. We should expect these regular reports just to see how it's going on. Just one little note of on Pierre's riding in Ottawa. My daughter lives in the riding, and the Liberal member was boots on the ground the whole time. He was at her door 3 times, starting back as early as December, and following up the evening of the election to see if somebody needed a ride to the polls. So I think he got out shuffled on the ground there. So
yeah.
Well,
Lori,
with all the controversy we're hearing about the extra candidates and everything else, I think the Liberal there did a hell of a good job pounding the pavement.
Ground game.
Well, Lori, I will be boots on the ground for you, sir. You're in Cornwall, Ontario. I'm Rimbey, Alberta, and I will be boots on the ground with a Pierre Poilievre thing and reporting in, my friend. Literally there, absolutely, because I'm here, sir. But I appreciate you thinking about that. Thank you.
Okay, well, good night, guys. Thanks a lot, Rick. Good night.
Thanks, Lori.
Love you, Lori.
Bye,
Have a good
Lori.
Miss
one, sir.
Kitty says, no fair, not fair, Rick. It shows no respect to go over new callers. No worries, another time. Besides, I'm really pissed at Trump. Okay. Carney and idiots. I was in hospital 2 days in a row. And how's your day, Rick? Well, I'm sorry to hear that you were in the hospital. And as I say, I'm picking this stuff up on the fly there, Kitty. So if I've misinterpreted what you were saying, I'm thinking it was sort of directed at me. But anyway, you're welcome to call in. I'd love to have you call. I'm just saying that, people do call out other people on other podcasts all the time. In fact, it's not just me. I was watching Alex Jones yesterday, and he had Laura Loomer on, and she was picking a fight with who was it? It was it'll come to me in a minute. You guys talk. I'm only at 50% mental capacity tonight.
Carol, it's Rimby, John. Carol, can I'm asking you kind of a dumb question because I'm part American, and my American relatives are horrified over Trump. How can you give me a little perspective? You've got relatives in there. Are they so deep down the old Trump rabbit hole that, like, what are your relatives thinking, Carol? What are they telling you? Like they're deep mega.
They're seriously clear that whatever move that this Trump guy is doing here is the way to go. They really do perceive him as being he's got the right of way, and it doesn't. It just you can't even go there because they're that's exactly where they're wired, right? Sorry, it is what it is. I can't give you any specifics. They literally.
But Carol, are they not seeing any little kind of cracks in the armor? Because my relatives are they're deep.
And it's not just because it's one group. So it's California, Colorado, Florida, right?
Wow.
And they're all doing the same thing. Not one of them is breaking through this. It's not occurring to them at all.
If I can,
They're not.
Yeah, let's just pivot back here. Sorry, Carol, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you want to finish?
Okay, so just should I repeat myself?
No, just pick up where you left off. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
So I'm just replying to John, and no, the my family in America, and there's, like I was saying, California, Colorado, and Florida, they are sticking to their guns.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what happens. They will still retreat with this. He's our savior. Nobody's breaking anything.
Well,
I actually honestly thought at some point that, come on, you're going to go along and see there are some, it's odd, right?
It is odd, Carol. And, I was watching former Republican politician Joe Walsh, who now does live stream media and has a big radio show. And he was on Times Radio, and he was, he literally used the word, because he's left the Trump camp, and he says that it's like a cult. And he made the point, and he was very emotional today when I watched it. And he said, the Republican MAGA crowd will just fall into line no matter what Trump says, no matter what he does. And I can see that is exactly what happens. It is strange.
Wow, right? Yeah. You know what's really weird too, because if you go back, these same people, say 4 or 5 years ago, we all understood the COVID hoax and Like we were all on board with what we knew was, ridiculous. It didn't make sense. But all of a sudden, here they are. They're jumping on this train. It's just blowing my brains out. It's like, what's that?
Well,
Like, seriously, man, what is that? Like,
because
so they
it's-
all these good friends I had in America, right? We all knew it was a COVID hoax and all that crap. And all of a sudden, here we are, and Trump's the master.
Mhm.
It's
Well-
blowing my
well,
brains out.
John, you're dominating the whole conversation. So I just need to make a little space for others, and we need to move on a little bit here with the subject. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to kind of pivot prematurely, but it's not premature. Just to come back though to what we were talking about earlier, information warfare, propaganda, and this also ties into what Kitty was saying in the chat about, never seeing anybody on other podcasts criticizing other No, it's not true. That Laura Loomer, Alex Jones yesterday calling out Tucker Carlson. So this happens all the time. And why? Because Tucker Carlson is on a list of some journalists and others who were taking money from foreign governments, specifically Qatar. So
wow.
So and he's denying this, but his name appears on a list. And Alex Jones, as Laura Loomer was calling out Tucker Carlson on InfoWars yesterday, Alex Jones is defending Tucker, right? And it says here in this article, since the beginning of this year, American journalist Tucker Carlson, an icon of media conservatism, has started generating controversy due to a notable ideological shift. According to various investigations, this is because Carlson is part of a Qatar influence strategy over American media. Official documents submitted to the U.S. Department of Justice under the Foreign Agents Registration Act reveal Qatar's growing influence in strategic sectors of the West, including the academic world, sports, real estate, and now also media, with special emphasis on right-wing sectors. I can tell you as well that because I used to I've stopped just about 6 months ago, may go back to it, but I was self-syndicating my automotive show on U.S. broadcasters, okay, U.S. stations. And to do that, I had to sign a document confirming and declaring that I do not receive any money from any foreign government in order to be able to broadcast on those U.S. television stations. There are rules. Okay. So I guarantee you, I'm not getting money from any governments of any kind, because in order to broadcast on the US side, that means that I couldn't take money even from the Canadian government, not even tax breaks.
I trust you, Rick. I trust you, Rick.
So, but here's Tucker Carlson, and you see, he's on social media. You don't. And so, Carol, there are not this, you don't have the same standards, not the same rules. No. And so, he's being accused, and there are documents to back up those accusations, which he denies, but it looks like he's taken money. And then what did we see just about 6 months or a year prior to the last presidential election? The Tenet Media scandal, right? With big US and Canadian social media influencers taking money from where? Russia.
Right.
And of course, deny, but it's confirmed. Tenet Media definitely being funded by Russia. A lot of those influencers, though, not necessarily aware that where the money was coming from, but it was pretty serious money. It was millions of dollars.
I think you nailed it. I 100% agree with that. Absolutely. That's how it is. And it just leads us down the path out that we don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody...
and here I've been sitting for months criticizing Tucker Carlson, as you may have noticed, right? And people are like, what are you talking? What are you talking to Tucker Carlson for? He's a good guy. Yeah. Well, he's lying. He's lying to you. I can tell he's lying, and I'm not just going to go along with it. I don't do that here. I don't care.
Well, I'm glad you don't. And well, you know what I think happened though? During the pandemic, we were so desperate to hear, we were all very desperate to find a source that made it we're trying to speak in the truth. So we went to the alternative media, and we turned in there and decided, well, we had a comfort zone here, right?
Yep.
The government was always the evil.
Yep.
But we turned into this, we wanted to believe something. So we went into this. Well, it could have been Tucker Carlson. Could have been anybody,
Yep.
right? Anybody but the government.
Yep.
Because we knew something wasn't right. However, something in the meantime turned the media there. It became just as wicked as what the government was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody really knows what to do anymore, right? I'm talking about they turned us around there. We went to the alternative, like Tucker Carlson, and good God, even the idiot, what's his name, the big idiot that guy. Anyway, we went to places that we felt safe to get better information because we knew something wasn't right, right?
Yep.
Like, go get this shot in the arm, you're gonna be fine. That wasn't right. Like, we knew that, but a lot of people had that. So we went to these alternative sites and we gained comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And now we've gone past 5 years here, and people haven't realized that it turned around. These are not our friends. These are not the same comfort zones we used to have.
Yeah.
But when they
Well-
saw that they were going to increase their publicity by what they were doing, that's when it really started to roll. They needed sensation. There was no sensation from
So
the media.
the alternative media, like
yes,
Alex
the alternative
Jones.
media. Yeah.
So we all
I mean,
went there.
we were-
It was okay to go there. It was safe. Like, that was our core.
We felt it was safe. And
But
they jumped on
it's-
that, knowing that we were looking for something more than the oatmeal media.
It is,
Mm.
it's very simple, actually. People, you see, when I learned how to, when I was in journalism school, to tell an effective story that really resonates with people, you tell both sides of the story. Black
Mhm.
versus white, good versus evil.
Mhm.
People understand that. It's more difficult
Right.
to tell something in terms of, a shade of gray, where there's a complex issue, right? Simplify it, take it down to, Joe versus Pete, Sally versus John. He says, she says, two sides of a story. So it becomes like a fight, right? And people can understand that. So when the pandemic hit, it left everyone vulnerable, and people who had other agendas exploited that. And that's why you kept hearing everybody say everything. And Tucker Carlson has said this a million times. Everything they've ever told you is a lie. Everything they're telling you is a lie. No, not everything. Not everything. Some things.
Yeah.
But everything. And so as soon as you believe that this person or this organization or group of organizations, mainstream media, if everything they tell you is a lie, then the other people must be telling you the truth. Now you're completely vulnerable. And now they're saying, and when they're telling you, don't listen to those people anymore, everything they tell you is a lie. No, you need to be listening to them, and you should be listening to them. And then you can make up, but don't even stop there. Then you need to go back and check reference material. Don't just listen to them, check them. Are they telling the truth? Are they telling the truth? Maybe they're both lying. You need to go check the source information yourself if you're really going to do it. Otherwise, you're just picking a side.
So Rick is somewhere in the middle,
Usually.
right?
Usually. Not always.
That's a hard fact. It's a hard fact because then you have to sort of review the material in your head, because you really want to, you're conditioned to go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Right. But this idea that it's a hard thing when things are going hot and heavy, that you have to understand that it really is somewhere in the middle.
Yep. It's not black and white. It's rarely, I think almost never black and white.
And I've lived my whole life as black and white. But from what I'm understanding now, and introducing new material into my head, it's, come on, Carol, it's a middle thing. It's a middle thing. Ground yourself, because you're getting hit with narratives and propaganda, whatever. But just Jesus, come on, think about it.
Yep.
Get down. You're in the middle. It can't all be one way or the other.
Yep. That's right.
You know, real
nice
quick.
if I can just say something quickly here. I know that Kitty is still, chatting in the chat. And I'm not picking on you, Kitty. I'm just making note of what you're saying. It's not personal, and I'm not trying to attack you at all. I'm just pivoting off what you're saying, which got us to this story that I showed about Laura Loomer and Tucker Carlson and media and the fighting that goes on online every day. But back to you guys. Who was it you, John, that was speaking?
No, I don't see that in the Rumble.
Dragon.
Well, look, about biases and whatnot, okay? When I was on the street trying to report what was going on with the pro-Palestinian, it was kind of hard to a certain extent to be, say, objective. Well, not objective, but keep my biases on the side, right? I mean, there's a saying in journalism that you got to basically forget everything about your little bubble or your universe, basically, like if you know nothing. So it's like it's hard, okay? It's another mindset, if you will. And to do that, I mean, I don't say that I got it pretty much, I mean, like a pro, but I mean, it was hard, Sometimes I could probably have fallen myself into some comment that could have probably done, I don't know, more harms than anything, but I did try not to. But that's the thing. I mean, we always do some mistakes sometimes. But the thing is that, yeah, it's hard sometimes to put ourselves into that little corner.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to make mention as well, because I didn't really say this earlier, about the ICE detention situation in the U.S. Like Canada now the U.S. has 55 Canadians in detention in the United States by ICE. 55.
Yeah.
Canadians.
And one have died from that.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
That's the word.
And that's,
it's that. Canadian government. What will the Canadian government do? Do they have, because it's a Canadian citizen, what can they do? Right? I mean, is there any jurisdiction?
I don't know. And I suppose it depends on why those Canadians are there. Are they there legally or illegally? Have they committed any crimes? So each one of those should be considered on an individual case-by-case basis. They should be given some degree of due process. The question is, if they're going to deport them, where are they deporting them to? Are they going to send them back to Canada, or will they send them off to the Gulag in El Salvador? Or will they send them to Alligator Alcatraz? Which I think is supposed to be a temporary holding facility, but I just don't know.
Right. Yes, that's all we are. Yeah.
And will they be given due process? It looks like a lot of these people are not. I don't know. These are all questions.
I mean, that's a dangerous prospect.
Inquiring minds want to know. When I say that, do you understand what I'm saying? Sometimes I say these things, and I think I lose people because of my age. Do you remember those commercials for the National Enquirer? Or am I alone on this? Like, when I say that, I'm like, everybody will know what I'm saying when I say inquiring minds want to know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, you do.
I do.
Is anybody else, or am I just like, I shouldn't do that? I just make.
Yes, Rick, we understand in Alberta what you're talking about. We get it. We get it, bro.
I'm probably
We're
not
on board,
old enough for this one.
Oh my!
I'm getting there.
You're a puppy dog, Dragon. You're so young.
I know.
I'm going to see if I can find that commercial.
I love puppy dogs, though, Dragon. You're a puppy dog.
I'm the last remaining of the Generation X that's gonna stand tall. So
no, what year's that, though, bro? Generation X. What is it end at?
It's ending in 80, right on my years.
1980?
Yep.
Oh God, I'm a kid from the 60s. Sorry.
Here we go. I've got her. I got her queued up. We're gonna now, for those of you who are just youngsters, younglings out there, this is what I'm referring to. Here's the National Enquirer commercial from, I think this is, this one's 1986.
Carol, are you a girl from the 60s too?
Okay, yeah. I was married.
Okay, I'm running the video.
I want to know. Will Jeff and Fallon's marriage be the TV wedding of the year? This week's National Enquirer tells you. What are 2 surefire tricks to become more creative?
It's in the Enquirer.
How can you tell if your mate really loves you? Find out in the Enquirer. Over 100 features for people with inquiring minds.
Like me.
How was a photographer injured in a brawl with Madonna's bodyguards? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. Will Jeff and Fallon's marriage be the TV wedding of the year? This week's National Enquirer tells you. What are 2 surefire tricks to become more creative?
It's in the Enquirer.
How can you tell if your mate really loves you? Find out in the Enquirer. Over 100 features for people with inquiring minds.
Like me.
And it's like, that's what our media has come to, right? Like, and that's what the Trump administration is. It's the Enquirer helped get him elected, especially the first time around. It's true. And they made up stories, actually, and were running them during his first run at the presidency, and they helped get him into office. Isn't that crazy?
Rick.
Yeah, what?
Rick, shake your head, Rimby John. My grandmother in the 70s and 80s, the Rimby Co-op, she got all her news from the National Enquirer, the Star,
Here's
the
another
Hollywood
one.
Press.
Here's another one.
What new tragedy is ripping apart the
Slow
family of
audio.
Princess Grace? Inquiring
Princess
minds wanna know.
Grace.
What is
I
the
wanna
real
know.
story behind Jones' divorce settlement from Ted? This week's National Enquirer tells you.
Inquiring minds
Vitamin C
wanna
reduces
know.
risk of heart disease. How can reading food labels help you lose weight?
Oh, just
It's
read.
in the Enquirer. What's our special gift to you this season?
Yeah, it's the only credible news source out there. 1983. What were making the headlines back in 83?
What surprises are revealed in a sneak peek at Dallas and Dynasty's new fall shows? Inquiring minds want to know.
I want to know.
Who tried to burn Alexis? And will Jock end the Ewing rivalry from the grave? This week's National Enquirer tells you. What tips can help you avoid drunk drivers? Can this afternoon facelift be the recipe for a great evening?
It's in the Enquirer.
How can you be a winner? Billy Graham tells you in the Enquirer.
Billy
Plus
Graham.
over 100 features for people with inquiring minds.
Like me.
There you have it. Those stories, like, you know what the funny thing is? If you go to the newsstand today and pick up a copy of the Enquirer, you probably see them still talking about the same celebrities because of the demographic of the magazine, right? They're still stuck in the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Rick,
That's weird.
Rick, thank you for taking my call tonight. I have to sign off now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Carol. It's
Thank
been
you so much for taking me. It was so awesome.
yeah, this was a
Thank
great.
you very
Carol, are you going, Carol?
I do have to go.
Well,
Before you
I have
sir,
to
give,
stay
give,
home.
but Carol, Rick needs to give you a final thought, my dear.
a final,
Okay.
yeah, well,
Carol,
yeah, you know what your
Rick,
final
sir,
thought needs
Give her
to
a
be.
final thought.
Okay, John, what we need to know from Carol is what's your vote for the movie? Do you want to watch Attack of the Giant Leeches or Things to Come?
Things to come.
Okay, all right. So one vote for Things to Come.
Okay.
But
I'll go
Rick,
with
give Carol a final thought. Final thought, Carol. Big
Rick,
final
I'll
thought.
go
5
with
minutes.
That's the final thought, John. Thanks, Carol. John, you know what? I'm going to give you a little tip. This is the thing I learned when I was studying theater. It's called blocking, right? So when we wrap up, you got to wrap up and not keep it going, because then you lose the thunder. So it's okay.
I was in for an hour.
Yeah. Anyway,
Have a good one.
thank you, Carol.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
All right. There's the final thought. Thank you. And that's a nice clean ending. So what do you guys want to watch? I'm going to look in the chat. What about you, Dragon? What's your vote for tonight?
Okay, thank you. That's
We'll go with
what was it?
things to come.
Busy?
Yeah.
Hang on. I think maybe Carol doesn't realize she's
Prob-
still.
Did it rain?
Okay, I'm just going to mute Carol there because there she's gone. Okay. She didn't realize she was still on. We were getting all the background sound. Okay, so Dragon, what movie did you vote for?
We'll go with things to come.
Things to come. Okay. All right. Anybody else? What do you want to watch, John?
What are the options there, Rickster?
Well, as I said earlier, we can watch either Attack of the Giant Leeches, which ties into, Alligator Alcatraz and the new prison in the
Okay.
swamp, or we can watch Things to Come, which is like an H.G.
Okay,
Wells
so-
thing.
So Rick, what's it looking like in the Rumble and YouTube chat?
I don't know if anybody in the Rumble chat actually even pays attention.
I'm
to the
on
program.
Rumble. I can't talk.
I'm
but
looking. I'm looking
on
at Rumble. I'm looking at it, and I don't know if
okay.
anybody even listens to what is on the show, because it's
Okay,
like
well,
they
they
talk
do.
about everything under the sun except what we talk about on the show in the chat.
No,
Is
they
anybody even paying attention? What movie do you want to watch
Yes,
tonight?
they are.
Well,
Maverick.
I got two actually. There's two that has voted for things to come too.
Oh, okay.
So
It looks like we've got a unanimous decision. Nobody wants to watch the big blood-sucking human man-eating leeches suck the brains out of people. No, nobody wants to watch.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting.
It's a very intellectual movie.
Okay.
Mustang goes with the leeches.
Things to come. Okay, we love.
Well, Rick, either or.
Things to
Rick,
come.
Rick, either or. You do great. They're great choices, bro. Either or. They're both Rolls Royce. Either or. You can't go wrong with picking A or B. It's all good.
Okay, I'm getting Things to Come queued up here. Have you guys ever seen it?
Nope.
No.
Oh well.
No.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time, 1936. Things to Come. Let me see if I've got my file here. There we go. I've got it. Yeah, so this, let's take a little break. We're going to come back. Do you guys want to help me with the movie tonight?
Well, no, Rick, can I have a final quick thought?
Yeah.
On the show?
Mm-hmm.
Final quick thought. Maverick News family worldwide. It's been a crazy week with Trump and what's going on in Israel and Gaza and Iran. And we pray for peace. We've always on this show, Rickster, Dragon, we've always prayed for peace around the world. I still continue to do that. And I continue to do that. Yeah, I do. I really do. Thank you guys so much. I love you guys. And thank you, Rick, for what you do. You were sick last week, and you do a lot of things behind the scenes, and people don't know what you do. But I love you. I love you, man. And we pray for peace. Pray for peace around the world.
Okay, John. Thank you, sir. And how about you, Dragon? You want a final thought tonight? Do you want to help me with the movie?
Oh well, you know what? I think you need a psychic tonight.
A psychic. Yeah. A sidekick, not a psychic. All right. If you want to, do you have a camera set up? Can I send you a link so you can join me on the video side?
Do I have the camera set? Well, yeah, but I don't. Well, I probably have a mic around here. Yeah, but it's gonna be on my good old earphone.
That's okay. I'm just saying, if I send you the video link to help me co-host tonight, then we have to get off this system. I need to send you a different link.
Okay.
So thank you.
It's probably better that I stay on phone then.
Yeah, I can't do it on the phone. So okay, I'll tell you what, I'll just fly solo.
Hang on. And Rick and Dragon, that lady Carol, thank you for calling in. And we got to put this, our love of Rickster and Dragon. We love our American relatives, friends and family. and we love you. Canada is your biggest trading partner, ally in the world. We love you, love you, love you. It's just at the moment, there's an orange orangutan in something called the White House. So, Rexter, love you guys. Love you guys.
All right. Well, with that, John, we will wrap up this portion of the program with the orange orangutan.
You guys. I just love you.
With the orange orangutan, and then we'll be back on the other side. We won't sign off, except we're going to come back with Maverick Midnight Matinee, continue the program. We're not going to take a break. So don't go away, except if you're on YouTube, I have to jump off YouTube. So you have to watch on Rumble or one of the other platforms that we are on. Somebody's
Rick, are you going to give me the orange orangutan?
I am, but if somebody's calling in, so I'll take the call just in case. Who's joining us here?
Sharon from Manitoba.
Well, Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
Hi, John.
Love you, Jen.
Well, I just wanted to, check this movie out. I've never heard of it. And, sure. I wouldn't mind joining you guys.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys can stay on the line then. I'll run it through this system. I'll run it right through here and we'll make this work. Okay. So hang on a second here. I'm going to take you guys off the
sounds
stream.
good.
Okay. Hang on.
Sounds good.
Okay. Take this down.
Hi, Sharon.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, folks, I'm going to run the end of this program, and then we're going to come back on the other side with Maverick Midnight Matinee. So here we go. Oh yeah, you're still going to be on. You guys don't go away. I'm going to run Orange Orangutan, and then we'll run the movie through this other system. So here we go. Why isn't this running?
Monkey see, monkey do. Vladimir Putin's making a fool out of you. Once a deal maker, now just a shouter. Used to shake hands, now it's all about power. You turn your back on your friends and your allies too. You betrayed the spirit of the red, white, and blue. Orangutan man. Donald Trump 1.0 had a plan. Now Donald J. Trump 2.0's a wrecking man. Used to make deals, now you just sneer. Ruling through fear, grinning ear to ear. Canada's not for sale, Greenland ain't yours. Gaza's not a playground, quit making wars. Bluffing and puffing with a wig on tight. Acting like a boss, but you lost the fight. The art of the deal, man, that ship sunk. Now it's all about rage and a nuclear funk. Orange orangutan man, swinging through the world with a heavy hand. Tearing up treaties, slapping on tariffs, throwing tantrums like a billionaire sheriff. Dial it down, don't stop it, man, you beast, you critter. Orange orangutan man. You're fired. No, you're just bananas.